What's up, guys? Another Down the Middle episode. My name's Nomal.
I'm Ryan.
And we'll be talking about Gwen Berry, the Olympian. She throws the hammer throw, right? Is what it's called. I don't agree with what she's done recently, and she's in the news, and she's like a hot topic right now, pretty much.
So let's give you 3 warnings before we start this video. 1, this is a big story about someone who's going against the flag. 2, there's a giant bug in my gym, so if you see us looking at the floor, we're trying to kill it, because I tried 3 times to kill him, and
he won't die.
You know, just like Gwen Berry came in 3rd place, this bug survived 3 times.
Yep.
And also, it's about 300 degrees in here, so if you see us sweating, once again, it's not the heat of the topic.
No.
Gwen Berry does not intimidate us at all. We're just literally hot.
Yeah, it's like almost 100 degrees.
And we're in a dark garage.
It's disgusting.
That's made of brick. Yeah, it's not that. But we do it for you. So,
trenches.
let's get into this story.
Yeah. So like I said, Gwen Berry's a hammer thrower. She does the hammer throw. And when was the date? Do you remember when she competed?
I think it was yesterday.
It was yesterday.
I think it was either yesterday or
yesterday or the day
week.
before
Yeah.
yesterday.
Yeah.
And she came in 3rd place, and she was representing the U.S. So basically, long story short, usually, as many people know, the anthem plays to represent your country and whoever you're representing. And the anthem played, and what she did was she turned away, I guess, from the flag.
Yeah.
Faced the crowd and didn't have her hand on her heart or anything. Just didn't want to represent the U.S. or go along with the anthem. And then she got a lot of backlash from that.
And now this is basically a thing that we've talked about a lot, is the U.S. representation on the world stage. We come off 2 weeks ago, we had the G7 summit,
Right.
his meeting with Russia. We've talked about how his foreign policy has been one of his weakest components since the start. And now, how is this taken? How are we going to deal with this? What is the Biden administration saying about this? And just what this makes us look like on the world stage.
Yeah, like I said, like it starts from the top and it goes to the bottom, right? It's a top bottom type of thing. So we've always talked about what we have in terms of problems in terms of top, and obviously that'd be Biden, Kamala, and them representing the U.S. And now as you go down the ladder, that'd be like Olympians. Olympians have their own say in representing the U.S., right?
Yeah.
And they really, have an image on what we look like. So if our own Olympians aren't representing us in a positive way, what does this tell about us? And it just goes down the ladder from there.
And obviously the Olympics have been a mess. We're all watching, I mean, at least conservatives, we're all watching 2022. That's the Beijing Olympics in the summer.
Yep.
We want to see what happens. I mean, huge blow to China if we don't give it to them, because they'd be economically hit hard. They've already threatened us about taking it away. Now we have... And these Olympics are very important, like you say, because this is the world stage representation. Yes, it's sports, but still, it's our representation on the world stage. So now we're in Japan, which is an ally.
Right. But
still, everyone is watching. It matters what you do. So you have this big display of anti-Americanism where everybody is watching. We talked about Colin Kaepernick before this. You explained to me why you think it's different.
Yeah, so we were talking about just comparing Gwen Berry to Colin Kaepernick, and I said it's not the same thing. So for Gwen Berry, like I said, it goes down the ladder, right? As Olympian, you have a much larger representation of the U.S. since you're, for example, around other countries that represent their own respective countries, and then there are much more eyes. Literally, it's the rest of the world, right? Yeah. And you have a much bigger platform to disrespect your own country. And then, really, what message are you trying to set off? Like, is it to China? Is it to Russia to make us look even worse, right?
Yeah.
Colin Kaepernick, I was okay with him kneeling. He also took a different approach. As I was telling you before, he was talking to veterans before he started kneeling and said, how I respect the flag, but also peacefully protest. And they said to kneel.
Yeah.
So he also took that approach. And on top of that, the viewers for American football are primarily American, other Americans. So that was his way of using his platform to peacefully protest. But the way... The Olympics, I hold to like a higher standard, or per se, more so like it's representing. You should be prideful, in the Olympics. Like American sports are different because Americans are viewing American sports, obviously. But when you're on that bigger stage, representing your specific country for that specific purpose, you're held at a much higher standard.
And in terms of me with Kaepernick, I disagreed with the Kaepernick showing.
Yeah.
I thought that. Well, this is the thing. She came out against systemic racism. He was going against police brutality. Now, both issues that can be spoken about. I disagree with systemic racism as it exists today. We've done videos on that. Police brutality is an issue, and I agree with police reform. So both issues that should be brought to light and should be spoken about from an intellectual backing. Now, my big disagreement was the means, because whenever I see someone kneel for the flag or kneel for the anthem, I see it as directly disrespectful to the men and women who fight to serve the country, because they fight to protect that flag and to protect that anthem. So while I supported Kaepernick's cause, if he's going to come with facts and he's going to do his research on what and about him going to veterans, the massive majority of people who serve the country disagreed with his showing of that. They took offense to that. So yes, he did take steps to make sure that this was not something that was going to be completely scrutinized, but also how it was taken from the community also shows that maybe he didn't. Who did he exactly ask?
Right.
Because a lot of veterans are like, "This is very disrespectful to me,"
Yeah.
and then a lot of veterans are like, "You know what? I fought to protect his right to do that."
Yeah.
No one's coming out and saying that, well, except for Joe Biden, that Gwen Berry's okay doing this.
Right.
So I support the cause in Kaepernick's case. I don't like how he did it. In terms of Gwen Berry, I don't support the cause, and I also don't really support at all the showing. So let's get into some actual facts about this. She came out and she said some things afterwards about this.
Yeah. So, because we were talking about off camera, we were like, this is just hilarious because, so her first response when she was questioned about what she did was she was set up. So set up. This
is a beautiful picture.
Yeah.
Like she comes out with the Americans and they start playing the American anthem and she's just like
as
in
if
the
she
quiet
had
place
there's
when
like
a comet comes down and
there's
she's
like
just looking around like what?
Yeah. Like this is like an ambush.
Yeah,
like she
it's an
had
ambush.
no idea at the Olympics they would play the Star Spangled Banner because you're representing the U.S. Like
I think that she even said she suspected it, but it's against her directly though. Like
what do you mean?
like she was like, I had a feeling they would do that.
Yeah, it was like an attack on her because I guess they were aware of her background. I guess. Well, actually, so I do have some things about her background. So in 2019, Berry lost some of her sponsorships after raising her fist in protest on the podium at the Pan American Games in Peru.
Mm-hmm.
And then she received a 12-month probation from the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic committees for the act, which she says she was meant to highlight social injustice in America.
Yeah.
And then she goes off to quote, for me, it was extremely devastating because they cut off all my revenue. And she was 31 at the time. And this was a situation from 2 years ago to last year. So that's, you know. And then she said, going overseas, going to competitions, getting prize money, and then ultimately making the Olympic team help me, help my family, help my community. But at the same time, like, you're signing up to represent the U.S.
Yeah.
Right? You're getting that money from the U.S. Your facilities are from the U.S. Your trainers are from the U.S. Everything you do is from the U.S. And then you're going to take all that facility, money, resources, representation, go on the podium, win something, and then say, screw America?
It's the amazing hypocrisy of the left. You have this African-American athlete on the world stage playing a sport for millions of dollars, speaking about how the country she comes from is against her systemically. It's just the amazing thing when LeBron James talks about how oppressed he is, or Michelle Obama says she can't sleep at night because of how oppressed she is.
Yeah.
It's just but you know, and if I can make an unpopular statement right now, I disagree with Gwen Berry, but I also understand completely. I'm not surprised by it. Mm-hmm. Neither one of us is surprised that she did this. It's a publicity stunt. I think that she actually does believe in the stuff that she's fighting for, as many of the people from the left do. I believe it's misinformed. But honestly, I'm much more opposed to how we as America responded to it in terms of our officials than her from actually doing it. Like, I see her up there turning her back. I've seen it a million times before in the past couple years. I get it. You want to show you're against all this stuff. America is so bad, and you do that. So at this point, you're not going to get a super emotional reaction out of me. I don't know if there are people who see that. I know there are people still who see that, and they're kind of taken aback still. But at this point, I'm just kind of like, I mean, I could have put $50 on that happening, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not surprised. I guess, like Ryan just said, I'm not surprised that it happened. And just to also comment, I do agree with her message, is that the way she portrayed it and the way she did it, it was completely disrespecting America as a whole.
And the thing is, the systemic racism argument, but this is such a controversial thing in the public right now. It's actually a very deep argument. Yeah. And as we've had the conversation, if you make the factual argument to conservatives, if they're rational, they will agree with some kind of timeline. Like, we can make a timeline. And as we spoke, I think we just have phased out of it very recently. Yeah. You think that we're getting to the end of it now. Mm-hmm. Both conservatives, both having that conversation. But it's not as simple as turning your back on Anthem than not making any type of actual claims about. Like, if you want to do that, you have everyone's attention now. Everyone is watching you, Gwen Berry. Everyone knows your name. Yeah. We're listening to you. And then the stuff that she has said since, now you've been completely discredited.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
So I was also having a conversation with, I forgot who it was, but it was about the kneeling when it was like a big thing at the time with sports. And it got to a point where like, okay, like everybody's kneeling, we all see this, but there's a certain point where it gets repetitive. Not repetitive, it's more so everybody knows and is aware, but now what? It becomes performative. So it had a purpose.
Yeah.
But then it becomes performative at a certain point when most of the country really knows the issue at hand. So it's more like performative because there's no real positive effect from kneeling after a certain time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and as we've said before, these athletes use their platform. They come up there. We saw Dwayne Wade do it recently. No, not Dwayne Wade. Kyrie Irving. About Israel Palestine.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen Charles Barkley do it about the whole systemic racism. They come out and when they say things that make sense or are common sense or have factual backing, that's a great use of your platform. And you see the opposition where people come out and let's tell you what she has said since. And actually, before we do that, I just wanted to mention something. I was talking to my dad about this before. 1970s, while we were in Vietnam, there was a Major League Baseball game, and there was a fan who ran on the field and tried to burn the flag on the field. And the baseball player ran over and snatched the flag, and the guy was arrested. And you just imagine what a difference a couple generations can make. Just 30, 40 years, what a difference it can make.
Yeah, like, so let me ask you something. Do you think it would have the same reaction as it would today?
What do you mean?
If somebody ran into the baseball field today, right, in today's age, and tried to burn the flag, what do you think would happen?
I think that he would be stopped, but I also think that the people who stopped him would not gain the same type of... the guy who grabbed the flag, we hear about him still today. He's a hero. He saved the American flag, but I don't think he would get the same applause that he gets now. I think some people would actually come out against him. Yeah. So, let's talk what she has said. So first things that she said that she's never hated this country, which is kind of tough to believe when you're like, the Olympics is an amazing thing. You have to train like an animal. You have to be the best of the best. Yep. But also half of your game was let me get to that point so I can turn my back on America. So it's kind of tough to believe that you don't hate this country when
it's like it's like feeling your hate to get to the Olympics. That's
exactly.
It's like a different, like, people love their country so much that they want to really represent it, but I guess she hated her country so much that she really wanted to show how much she hated
So the guy in the gym who trains without headphones, you look at him and you're just like, oh, like, damn, that guy's like, he's training for something real.
He's training for like a zombie apocalypse, or like his girl just broke up with him.
That's Gwen Berry. Just think about how much she hates America. Police brutality, systemic racism.
That's the only song playing in her head, honestly.
She's just throwing that hammer at 200 yards. But and she said some other stuff too. She incorrectly quoted the Star Spangled Banner. So the Star Spangled Banner has a line. There's the Star Spangled Banner we know, which is the shortened version. There's a full version that the guy who was in prison, he wrote while the bombs are going off. A full version that talks about slavery. Now, yes, it mentions slavery, but not slavery in the sense of African American slaves on American soil. It mentions slavery from the relationship between Americans and the British.
Right.
Americans don't have say. Americans are, in a sense, enslaved. To actually believe that in that song, first of all, America didn't even have an economy. So slavery was an economic system.
At that time, the British were in control of everything.
Exactly. Yeah. We didn't have an economy. We would not... To use that song to talk about slavery... It's absurd to me, first of all. It's senseless. But this is what she said, that, hey, even in your Star Spangled Banner, your theme song, you guys are talking about slavery. You can't get much more systemic racist than that.
Yeah, it's the song it's not supposed to be like what it eventually became, like a whole system of slavery in the U.S. But it was more so talking about, like Ryan just said, when we were, like, I guess, colonized by the British.
The whole theme of the Star Spangled Banner is revolting against Britain. Yeah. That's like mentioning in there that we're going to create a football league or something. Like, there's a lot of stuff that goes into America, but that song is about the American Revolution. Yeah. And, I mean, celebrities, they can be something else sometimes. What else did she say? We talked about her getting set up.
Yeah. So, we just talked about that. She said she got set up. I didn't get the logic behind that, honestly.
I mean,
it's more so. I think what I think now that I'm thinking about it is that I guess they should have known. I think she's expecting people to know that she wasn't like cool with America type of thing, and that because she said that they told her that the song would be played before and after the medal ceremony. Yeah, but I guess it was during when they were giving out the medals. So, which is tradition though, actually, to give out the medals and then after you give the medals, then they play your respective country's anthem, which everybody should know by now. I feel like, if you watch the Olympics at all. But it was more like a setup because they didn't tell her that the anthem would be run when she got the medal.
Just making it harder for her to make a show of things.
I think it was more so assuming that she wanted us to know that she didn't like America, and then they should respect that and not play the anthem when she got the medal.
But also, I think you need to, just like I do with Joe Biden a lot, you need to question their subliminal intelligence. Like, Joe Biden on display seems like kind of like a babbling old man who just kind of go around and muttering. But then you also have the kind of conspiracy theory. He's an evil genius who knows exactly what's going on. So maybe Gwen Berry knows that, hey, there are actually a lot of people in America right now who will listen to me and will believe that they set me up, and that this can just add to the idea that America is that bad that we even changed the time we're going to play the national anthem just to hurt her specifically. The only African American on the team. Like, maybe she's like a genius like that, but you always have to think about that too. But I don't think that. But I mean, it's entertaining to ponder on.
She also said, let me just add on to that, I never said that I didn't want to go to the Olympic Games. I mean, how did you even get to the Olympic Games in the first place? By training and representing the U.S. to get even to the Olympics at all.
And the thing is, like, her whole argument is systemic racism. You think about all the countries that are there. Black America is the 13th wealthiest country in the world. America has done more to liberate African Americans than any other country in the world. Life for African Americans is better here by far than anywhere else. You talk about other countries that are there. China's there. Look at what's going on in China. People in China have nothing. People in China are tortured. They're oppressed. They're silenced. They're not doing that. They don't speak out against that. You want to know why? Because they get shot. People in Russia, if you step out against Putin,
they're getting shot on the podium right there.
Yeah,
by Putin himself.
Step out against me, you don't go to Olympics. You go to jail. They don't do that because they actually fear the repercussions. They listen. And Tokyo, in preparation for this, seeing the political climate, last year they released a statement saying that they want to decrease the political activism shown in
I remember
these events. And where did that go? So, like, who does it fall on? Does it fall on the Olympic leadership then? Because they said that. And obviously the Biden administration has a role in this too.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, what type of repercussions can the Olympic Committee really do? Like,
exactly. You would expect, they see that. They see what they said, and they're like, well, this is America. Just like Biden, when we get hacked, they say, oh, this is the private company's job to do. The Olympics, we don't want to get in the middle of that. You know, we did what we had to do. We said, hey, please, no political activism during our shows.
Yeah, but then when you make a statement and with no repercussion, then people just don't take it seriously. So, like, the Olympics, like, you could just go against whatever they say and then there's no repercussion. Like, for example, I guess now the thing about it, Olympic Committee could just not let you compete, I guess would be which is great. I mean, I think. Or that's a huge power, actually.
But then what you have to think, was that conversation had with American leadership? Because if they remove her, but the American leadership doesn't agree, then that's an international incident.
But you're coming to their committee to compete. That at the end of the day, it's like me going to private business and saying like we have an agreement to purchase something, but still their product to sell to me.
Yeah, exactly. I think that it's a little bit interesting because then Joe Biden could say that he doesn't agree, and then they have to. It's like if you go to a private business and then they don't agree to serve you, but then there's like a CEO somewhere who did agree to serve you, and then they have that conflict between them. You're removed from the equation, but now there's a conflict between the uppers and then the uppers, kind of the two people who are acting on it. So I think it's interesting, but obviously my belief is that the higher ups in the American government need to step out against this. You have Dan Crenshaw, who's a former Navy SEAL, saying she should be removed from the Olympic team, and she says that. Wait, we curse on here, right? She says that Dan Crenshaw can kiss her ass.
I think we do curse on here a little bit, just a little bit, not like anything
when
crazy.
It gets heated like that, yeah. You don't hate this country? Dan Crenshaw's a Navy SEAL. He did more for this country than Gwen Berry can even imagine. Ted Cruz, another one, who he hasn't done that much, but besides policy, he's a lawmaker. But he also said that she should be removed from the team. People are coming against us except for Joe Biden.
Yeah, and do you want to get into what Joe Biden said?
So let's get into what Joe Biden said. And now, we don't know if Joe Biden said this. Jen Psaki said this, so this is probably just... Oh, Joe Biden said this.
Jen Psaki has no idea what she's saying half the time.
Oh, yeah, she has no... She's speaking for Biden. Biden was asleep. Yeah. But she said that, of course, Joe Biden loves America. Basically, he has the greatest respect for men and women who serve our country, and that we haven't lived up to those standards, and that he respects Gwen Berry's right to peacefully protest. Now, there's a lot wrong with that.
My point is, though, it's a privilege to represent your country when competing at that stage. I think, point blank period, in her words, point blank period, it is an absolute privilege. That privilege is given to you, right? And I'm not sitting here and saying that she didn't train enough and train her ass off to get there in that first place. Yeah. But you have to respect what you're going there for, and also who's putting you there in the first place.
Exactly.
Yeah, of course, you're putting yourself there in the position to be recruited and represent the country, but also it's the country also picking you to be there in the first place.
Yeah, and I mean, to say that for Joe Biden to condone this is a very, very scary thing, because like you say, this is a pushback on Americanism on the world stage.
Yeah.
Biden loves America so much, but he won't say anything about the woman who's making America look pathetic on the world stage.
Yeah, it's like applauding her for not representing the U.S. Like that's, I mean, everybody knows what she did, right?
Yeah.
She the anthem played, and she didn't want to respect the anthem or the flag. And as a president of the United States, your response is to, okay, well, she has the right to do that.
But also, even a little bit disrespectful to Gwen Berry. Biden is in the office saying, oh, she's just peacefully protesting. Gwen Berry's like, no, I'm not. I'm making a huge show of things on the world stage. I'm trying to actually mix things up. And Biden's like, no, she's just peacefully protesting like you would if you held a picket sign up in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously not just peacefully protesting. You have to draw a line on what peacefully protesting is. But obviously that's a line that we have not drawn for a year now. He says
for a while. Yeah.
He says he has the utmost respect for men and women who serve the country, even though... So let's ask the men and women who serve the country, do you like the idea that she went out and did this? Because, hey, if they don't like it, then you can't say you respect them, because those are the people who actually have the say and who are fighting for that.
Right, because they're the ones who are defending the flag and gives us the ability to, or the privilege to represent our country in the first place.
Exactly. So why don't we talk about them before Joe Biden, who has been in Congress for 500 years, has never seen combat. He's only sent people to combat. Why don't we see what they have to say about that? And we haven't lived up to the expectations. Oh my goodness, we get it. There's no country. Yeah, that's in the saying that we haven't lived up to the perfect ideals that.
Who said that?
Saki.
Saki. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
We get it. America has flaws. Compare us to, if I can go on my Putin mode. Compare us to the other countries in the world and then come back to us with our flaws, and we're working on them, and the fact that we're just told over and over again that we're not making progress is actually hindering our progress.
Yeah, we made the most progress than any other country.
We have the most progressive tax code. We're the most advanced welfare state in the world.
Yeah.
Our minority communities do better here. Look at the border. We're going to migrate over 2 million people from the border alone this year. People are coming here in droves. They only want to be here. But yet...
And we're the only country that allows them to be here in the first place as well. Look at any other larger countries as well.
Oh, try to get into Sweden. Try to get into one of these countries.
And also, almost every single other country is pretty much homogenous in terms of population.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's why when we talk about homicide numbers and murder stats, we were amazed when we found out that Denmark had 1 homicide in the past 4 years.
Yeah, chances are they're probably related. Seriously.
Yeah, I can't kill my cousin. All the socialists are like, well, Denmark, the police don't have guns. Yeah, because no one does anything.
Denmark won't even let you in the country, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, they're all family.
Yeah.
So you have to compare this stuff to the world stage. Just like we talk about how the military is a different animal, putting stuff on that level is a different animal too. We have to treat it differently. But yeah, it's not the... Would you expect Biden to come out and say that? Are you surprised that he would say that?
Was it surprised that he would say that? I wouldn't say surprised. I just wish he didn't, honestly. I'm just more disappointed because he's the president of the United States. That's the highest office you could have in the States. Mm-hmm. And to say that he just brushed it off when someone's blatantly disrespecting the flag and the country is kind of weird.
Another thing that's bipolar about him, he goes back and forth. When he's whispering in the mic, he's like the dictator that controls,
right.
I control everything. But then again, he doesn't realize that as conservatives, we still do look to him for this leadership. He's the president of the United States. His words have meaning to us too.
Yeah, we're not part of that, not my president bullshit. Okay, we move on. We gotta work with what we got, and Biden is definitely the number one guy in our country.
Every situation that happens, he's the first person we look to.
Yeah.
Still, I mean, you can say whatever you want about you want Trump, you want whoever, but he's in the office now, and there's never been a situation that me and Nomal have not sat down first and look at what Joe Biden did first.
Yeah.
Because he's the commander in chief.
No matter who's in that office, we're going to criticize and re-look at him.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it's pathetic on the world stage. We'll see what happens.
Him or her.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
He said that.
Oh, good. But we'll see what happens. She's not going to get removed from the Olympic team.
Yeah. So what do you think should happen to her?
I think she should get removed from the team. I think that the Olympic Committee should go to the U.S. representative, whoever represents this, whoever is control of this. It's not Joe Biden. It's whoever is underneath him who does this. Something in foreign affairs or something. And they should have a conversation. Hey, we made a rule that you're not supposed to do political showings during the Olympics to prevent this. Because, hey, no one gives a damn about the Olympics now. We're all watching Gwen Berry. Do you know how far she threw? Do you know the name of the girl who was in front of her?
idea.
The girl who was in front of her?
I don't know what they look like, honestly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, actually, one of the girl who was in front of her was actually kind of jacked. I saw that picture.
Yeah?
But yeah, she was big. But I don't know their names. I don't know anything about them. All I know from the 2021 Tokyo Olympics is the name Gwen Berry.
Yeah, and that's what happens when we start, especially in America. I mean, I think it's an American problem. Like politicizing everything is an American problem.
Yeah.
I think that's true, and that's what happens throughout our society. Like we politicize the simplest things, and then we remove what that thing is supposed to represent.
Yeah.
In its totality. So now we don't even know what that thing is meant to represent, and now we're focused on like what's right or wrong, and have the checklist like, well, what do I side with? And we don't even know, and we don't even know what we were talking about in the first place.
Checking boxes with a blindfold on. It's crazy.
Politicizing has ruined a lot of things.
Yeah.
In America, honestly.
And, I mean, we'll come back with more videos about that. We had a long conversation just now about libertarianism, what it means to be libertarian when everything is so radical. Like, this stuff never happened before. This is a new age we're living in, and we have to deal with it with a different mindset because we're in a new time, and people are crazy.
Yeah.
But, you know, this is the very fine line of what it means to peacefully protest and freedom of speech. So we got to see what happens. We both disagree, but not surprised, and we just wish that our leadership would kind of look at that and say, hey, you got to be on the world stage. You got to hold it down for America because we put you there and we want you to win.
Yeah, and just as a closing comment, because I'm sure that was like, you know, on the closing comment, revive type of thing.
I'm done. I'm hot.
I think as the president of the United States, he could have at least responded in a different way. Right?
Yeah.
And he could at least acknowledge her idea and message, which you should do as president. You should try to understand your people, and especially your Olympians who are representing the country, right? So he could have started off with saying something like, yeah, I understand your message, and I fully back and support it, which, people should, right? But also, at the same time, there's a time and place for everything. And also, you could support a message and also not disrespect the country, because also at the Olympic stage, you're representing the country, hopefully, with pride.
Yeah, and it's as simple as this. He's Joe Biden. He's a Democrat, so he's spoken about systemic. This is how you know it's not from him, because he's spoken about systemic racism, like by itself. He used that term over and over and over again. He doesn't use the term in his answer, systemic racism. He doesn't mention it. All you have to do, hey, when you are on the world stage, respect us. When you come back to America, we'll have a conversation and we'll figure this out. I'll have you in the White House and we'll have a conversation and figure this out. Done. America is held down on the world stage. Gwen Berry gets to have her moment. And that's it. Then she gets to have her time to actually shed light on the problem that she's so passionate about. But no, let's just, it's okay what she did. And then just leave it. So Gwen Berry can stare at the floor next time they play the Star Spangled Banner, right?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just disappointing to see, get to that stage and just disrespecting the country that's put you there too. So
it's crazy. Crazy times we live in.
Crazy times.
But we will be back with you guys soon.
Always.
All right, we'll catch you later. Enjoy the Olympics. Don't, actually.